Hello Internet. Before I dive into this really quick review, I'm just going to give you a second to see if you can work out what my favourite film of all time is. Okay, it's Jaws. I wasn't going to review this movie, but I've just taken off my 3D glasses and I picked this up yesterday on Blu-ray for £5, £5 English pounds, and I was just going to whack it on this afternoon and have a bit of fun with it, but I thought I'd do a video about it because I was really pleasantly surprised by this movie. Anyone who likes killer shark movies knows that Jaws is the granddaddy of them all, the godfather, the don of killer shark movies. And all shark movies that have come after it have been compared to it, and unfairly compared to it. They will lose. Jaws is the Godzilla. Godzilla is the king of monsters. Jaws is the king of shark movies. So whenever you come to a new shark movie as a Jaws fan, you always set the bar really low, because more often than not you're going to get a Jaws 3D or a Jaws the Revenge, or if you're really unlucky you're going to get a Shark Night. But Bait 3D, coming to a store near you, is really good fun. There are problems with it and I'll probably be really picky, but don't get me wrong, this is a really fun movie. It's an Australian-Singapore co-production. It's an indie movie. I think it got a theatrical release in Australia and Singapore, but straight to DVD and Blu-ray here, and I saw it for a £5. There's a shark on the front of it, and so I decided to pick it up. Little bit of business. Nowhere on the packaging does it say Blu-ray 3D, so I took a punt on it, hoping that there weren't going to be some awful cardboard glasses inside it, and there are not. It's Blu-ray 3D, so if you've got a 3D TV and a 3D Blu-ray player, and you like your 3D movies, check it out. The 3D's not vital. You can enjoy this film in 2D. The 3D generally goes to providing a sense of depth. There aren't really pop-out stuff. They don't really do that anymore with 3D. There are a couple of times, but it's fine. I like the sense of depth and the sense of space, and that's quite important for this movie because the setup is very specific. A lot like Deep Blue Sea, that if you ever saw that movie was advertised as Jaws indoors. This is a similar premise. It's set in Australia, and we're in a coastal town, and there's a tsunami, and we spend the majority of the movie trapped inside a supermarket that's become flooded, and with the wave has brought a 12-foot great white shark that's in the supermarket with them. So a sense of depth, a sense of space goes well for that sort of confined environment. I'm not going to do a beat for beat on this movie because, as I say, I just wanted to chuck it in. I've literally just watched it, so plus I'm recommending it, so I don't want to spoil too much about it. We've got quite an interesting group of characters with movies like this. A lot of it lives and dies with its ensemble cast. We've got some good actors in there, some not so good actors. We've got some interesting characters in there, some not so interesting characters. Our hero was a lifeguard. The movie starts 1 year previously, and he's just become engaged to his girlfriend, and he's a lifeguard with his girlfriend's brother, and there's a shark attack and the brother gets killed. And then we jump a year later. His life's gone to shit. He's working in a supermarket. The girlfriend comes back. He sees her in the supermarket with her, because she went off to Singapore to get away from everything, and she comes back with her new boyfriend. At the same time, there's Julian Mcmahon, who is probably the most recognisable face in this. He was in Nip Tuck, and he was Doctor Doom in the awful Fantastic Four movies. But he's not necessarily a bad actor, he's just been in a couple of bad movies. Oh, Charmed as well. He was in Charmed. Apparently. I didn't watch Charmed, honest. Anyway, he's robbing the place. So there's a couple of armed robbers in there. There's also a girl in there who got caught shoplifting, and the police were called, and the cop that turns up to arrest her is her dad. There's the there's the manager of the supermarket and a couple of and there's the security guard and a couple of staff from the supermarket. So they're all jammed in there. There are times in the movie where it gets a little bit soap opera light. The downtimes between shark attacks are, I guess, character development moments. So there are times. Be prepared. The soapy story of the guy and his ex-fiancée, the bank robbers, the father and daughter, the cop and the daughter who's the shoplifter, whose mum died a couple of years ago. All of these things get resolved during the movie in a very soap opera way, but never in a way that I really felt impeded the movie. I actually liked most of the characters, which helps. Something like Shark Night, everyone's a douche in it, and so the character moments there are just awful and boring. But what we really want to hear about is the shark. One of the cool things about this movie is, although it's set in one location, there are a group trapped in the main supermarket, and there's a smaller group trapped in the flooded car park as well. So the film can jump between the two, and that really helps keep the pace up. While there's a bit of downtime in the supermarket, we can jump to the car park and see what's going on there, and vice versa. You're not going to love all the characters. There's a couple trapped in the car park who are they're really going for the award of most annoying screen couple in cinema history. But don't worry about that necessarily. It just means that there are some people that you're rooting for to survive and some people you're rooting for to get chumped. In the same way that there are two sort of geographic sections of the movie, we need to talk about the shark, and the shark is a twofold proposition. There are some excellent practical animatronics going on in this movie, and when the shark is just a shadow or a fin or underwater or in the distance, or it's an animatronic, a practical shark head popping up, it's actually really pretty good. Not as good as the best animatronic sharks I've ever seen are in Deep Blue Sea. They were fully remote control, full-size, self-contained animatronic sharks, and they were actually superb. The flip side to that is the 100% CGI shark, which isn't great. I can kind of understand why they decided to go with that. It's a 3D movie. They're shooting it in 3D, so we want some big 3D shark stuff, but it never really pays off. And although I'd say it's unfair to compare shark movies to Jaws, one of the key lessons that is rarely learnt from Jaws is less is more. In Jaws, that was out of necessity. The shark just didn't work, so they had to work around it. In this, they've got an excellent animatronic shark, and anytime that's there, or the presence of the shark is felt in that way, it's excellent. When we see the shark in its full glory, i.e. 100% CGI underwater, it's a CGI shark. They're few and far between, but those shots and those scenes always burst the bubble. I wish they'd been a little more restrained and gone a little more the Jaws route of less is more, and this would have been even better. The kills are fun. There is gore in this movie. It's only a 15 certificate movie, so it's not a Piranha 3D tits and blood gore fest. And that's all to the good, but there is gore in it. There are some really good kills in it. There's some actual genuine suspense in it. What it's really going to boil down to is whether you care about the characters or not, and I can't speak for you. I think once I realised that this was going to be an above average shark movie, I started feeling a lot more charitable towards it, and probably therefore a lot more charitable towards the characters. If you hate the characters, you'll probably think there's not enough shark, but I actually think they pitched this really well. Just at the very end here, the one thing I think they sort of failed on was the final shot. When our survivors, the people who survived the movie, get out of the supermarket, and back out into the post-tsunami coastal town. There's a really awful CGI-filled panning shot with CGI Red Cross helicopters, CGI fire and smoke, CGI seagulls, and another big CGI shark for a stupid jump scare at the end that reminded me very much of the end of Shark Night, which was completely unnecessary. I'll tell you exactly what I was holding out for. Maybe it sounds cornball and cheesy to you. I was thinking it sounded maybe a little more Sam Raimi, Evil Dead-y sense of fun. I don't usually like sequel bait endings to movies. I like them to finish their story, but given that this is a B movie, let's be honest with it. It's a monster movie. It's a shark movie. I would have loved for them to have got out of the supermarket, and the big crane pullback reveal is that the coastal town is completely submerged, and there are hundreds and hundreds of sharks swimming all around the buildings, and now they have to get out of the town. And that could have been your sequel bait, but that's just me. I'm sure if they'd have filmed that, an awful lot of people would have said that that was a really shitty ending. So, enough said. If you like shark movies, then you should, by all accounts, if you're sane, love Jaws. This isn't as good as Jaws. This isn't as good as Jaws 2. I'd say this is just maybe slightly below Deep Blue Sea. It's a hell of a lot better than Shark Night. If you love your shark movies and you haven't checked this one out, you really owe it to yourself to do so. It's got a lot going for it.